technical difficulties and sound checking. We're going to go ahead and fumble through this and answer all your questions, and we can go through whatever topics we need to today. Nick, walk me through some of the guests that we have on the webinar today. How many do we have?
Right now we have Brian and
Hey, Brian. Of course, Brian's there.
Jamie Draper.
Hi, Jamie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks.
Yeah, there's going to be some delays between response. I get it. Like, we're all muted and then we're trying to communicate. But so the whole purpose and the concept behind this webinar is to kind of put our story out there and kind of grow it in our own way, where we can bring people on and have guests so that we can answer questions and create topics that are useful for the amputee community. So today is just going to be very kind of an open forum, a very, I would say it's not very formal. We're all friends here, and we want to keep it that way. So with that, I want to introduce Jennifer, who's our amputee
Hi, Brian. Hi, Jamie.
executive that runs our program. She's also the co-host with me for the webinar.
Sure.
So you got to get used to seeing our fancy faces on the camera.
Oh. Thank you.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself first?
Sure.
Dive in?
Yeah, so sure. Hi, Brian. Hi, Jamie. So and thank you for joining us. As Carl said, this is our first webinar. And our goal or our vision is to have this be a weekly get-together that is mostly informal, somewhat social, a lot of informational, but sometimes it will be formal. We'll have guest speakers and other folks joining us for specific topics, and I envision that would be advertised in advance so that folks can plan accordingly if there's a topic that they want to hear about or a particular type of professional that they want to hear about. But as our first one, we thought we'd take some time just making this kind of an open discussion, exploratory a little bit, and ease our way into webinar world. As Carl said, I'm the executive director here at Amputee Aid, so my job means wearing many hats. It's in part development, in part creativity, in part executing Carl's vision as the founder of Amputee Aid. It's a lot of researching and finding pockets of money to support the community that we serve and do it in a way that's mindful and intentional. It's advocacy, it's all of those things. And it's really to bring to life Carl's vision for Amputee Aid. So maybe we could talk a little bit about what your vision was and why you founded Amputee Aid.
Yes, so Amputee Aid was founded simply to support the amputee community in a positive way. So having amputees out there that didn't have the resources to gain access to prosthetics or proper care, or even just somebody to talk to or a forum to provide answers to help them on their journey. So for the most part, the biggest thing we do is we provide prosthetics for amputees. So that's the biggest piece. But there's a lot that goes with that. It's more than that. And because we're a young company or a young nonprofit, we're trying to evolve. And that's part of what this webinar is about. It's finding out what is the biggest demand in the amputee community. What are the biggest needs? What are the questions people are going through? What are the things that we can do or that we can help? What are those challenges? How do we identify them? And then how do we find solutions for those?
Yeah, so we're not just educating, but we're also getting informed as far as what the community that we want to serve needs, right?
Yeah, it started off very simple. It's, people can contact us and tell us what their needs are. But eventually, I only know my path, and I know everybody has a different path. And I'm also an amputee, so understanding what I went through, I want to try to help people so they don't have to do what I went through. We want to make it easier. We want to make it better, or at least give them somebody they can lean on or have questions so that they can be informed on what's next or what things outcomes are. Or maybe they just need help finding something. It's a job, somebody to talk to. Where's the best provider for adaptive equipment for your vehicle? It could be a anything, really. Just that's what we want to try to conquer at Amputee Aid. That being said, I could go on and on plugging Amputee Aid, but I think it should be about the guests. So I want to kind of open it up and see if there's any questions. And keep in mind, the questions you're asking, this is being recorded. We're going to post this. So there's going to be other amputees that are going to be thinking the same question, and they need that answer. So if you have a question, I promise you most amputees that are out there, may have the same question and they're looking for that same answer. So go ahead and throw it out there. If we don't have an answer, we're going to get it and we're going to post it on our website and on our on all of our social media. So we're going to get the answers one way or another. So is there anything or any topics or questions that you guys have that you want to talk about today? I'm depending on you, Nick.
I unmuted their cameras, and actually Shane just joined us as well.
Hi, Shane.
Hey, Shane.
Yeah, so we don't have the benefit of seeing any questions or comments, but we're relying on Nick on the other side of the camera to tell us if there are any questions. And if there aren't, I will start questioning Carl because I always have questions to ask. So we'll give it a couple minutes, so maybe we'll get a question.
So no questions so far.
So I have something I'd like to talk about before you dive in. So I'm investigating currently osseointegration.
That was my question. So I'm going to take credit for that because that was going to be my question. Actually.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
So, we all wear sockets today. That's especially below the knee. It's common. That's basically what you're up against. You're going to get a socket, and you're going to have a foot attached to that socket, and you're going to wear different types of liners that go into the socket, and you'll have sizing things like socks and other hardware that goes along with that. But for the most part, most amputees, even above the knee, are going to be working with somebody who's helping them build a socket to wear on their leg. Osseointegration is another option. So you're now having a direct connect to the foot with putting an implant into your leg, into your bone, osseointegration. So they're taking a titanium rod, putting it inside your bone, so it's direct connect, and it grows into the bone. So you connect your foot from here down to your actual leg. So there's no need for a socket. There's no need for liners. There's no need for any of that. So it's a whole new concept. In the U.S., it's very new for below the knee. Above the knee, it's been happening for about 10 years now. And overseas, it's been going on for well over 30 years. So there's a lot of history, just not here in the U.S. The FDA did approve it for above the knee, but has not been, from my understanding, approved for below the knee. So there's certain insurance companies that do cover it, but I know VA is not one of them. But there's a lot of information out there on it, but I've been researching it because it seems like it could potentially be the future for amputees, for having a different opportunity to not have to deal with the ongoing costs of sockets and wear and sizing issues that you may run into. Especially as we get older, it's harder and harder to maintain a socket because you gain weight, you lose weight. That structure breaks down. But to me, I think osseointegration is going to be something we should be talking more about as we kind of drive along in this journey. That
I have a question. Well, kind of. Now I have a ton of follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So in doing your research, because it's not FDA approved for below-the-knee amputees like you, do you have to find a prosthetist who will work with you after the fact? Like, are they, whoever you're working with now, are they going to continue to work with you if you get the surgery? Does that matter at all?
They don't care. Connecting it to the osseointegration to the implant is really simpler.
Okay.
They just need you'll still need to work with your prostheticist because they need to measure the size, the distance, down. So they still need to order your parts and be a part of your journey. They're not going away, but you won't need socks and you won't need liners. But there's also cons to it. So
what are the cons that you've learned?
Well, and again, this is early stage. I've been looking into this for about 2 months. So there's a lot of things that are, even since I started, that have changed already. Like, for example, the FDA thing is already in motion. That may already been approved. It may not be even an issue right now. But you're more susceptible to infection because you have an open wound, basically. So swimming in rivers is probably a bad idea if you have an osseointegration. Okay. You're just going to have to be more mindful about keeping it clean and maintaining it. But you can swim in the ocean. The salt water's fine. You can swim in your pool with chlorine. It's fine. Just high bacterial type, like lakes and streams. Okay. But running is challenging from what I'm told, but I also met someone who ran a marathon with osseointegration, so it's not a thing there either. I think it's all basically based on the individual and what they can do. Okay. the healing process is, 60 to 90 days, just like an amputation for the most part. And you start slowly doing weight bearing, but you'll, if you're an amputee today and you have a socket, you're walking, you got your life back. If you go to osseointegration, you're kind of taking a step back at first to go forward, if you will. So you're going to go back to crutches or walkers, for at least 60 days, maybe a little longer. But after about 90 days, you're basically back in a full walking, prosthetic. So you should be back to normal at that point.
So you said that you started researching this about 2 months ago.
Yes.
What got you into researching this option? 'Cause your VA benefited, so
Yes.
so cost isn't necessarily an issue.
I think I was just curious. I wanted to see what the hype was. Why is there this other opportunity that nobody's been talking about? Well, of course they're not talking about it. It's welcome to the medical field. There's probably a lot more money in making sockets. Osseointegration is not cheap. I'm sure there's a cost associated with that. Me personally, I think what I've learned is it's probably about $140,000 to $160,000 investment. But then I guess if you're paying out of pocket, it's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot to swallow. Most people will have insurance opportunities. TRICARE covers it. Most the Medicare. But I just know right now VA is still looking into it, still working on it. I'll let you know more to come on that. But I believe, if there's any finance people out there, the math is the math, right? So if let's say it was $100,000, but what am I going to spend the next 20 years on sockets, maintaining the sockets, the liners, the socks, all the wear and tear, the parts? They're not cheap either. So I know I'm already, even at the low end, you're going to spend between around $5,000 a year just to maintain your existing prosthetic. If you have more than one, you can double that. If you are like Brian, you're climbing trees with your prosthetic,
Right.
and you're potentially, going through a little more wear and tear. So it all depends on the individual, but it can add up over time. And then the sockets, if you need a new one, if you break the bottom, you need a new foot, then it gets even substantially more. I mean, a typical full prosthetic is going to be anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. So in a lifetime, you're going to spend that pretty quick. So for me, even though there's still a cost associated with maintaining an osseointegration, I still think it's potentially worth it. And I think over time those numbers will come down as more facilities, more hospitals are bringing it in and having more surgeons to do the work.
So in your research, you mentioned, so you spoke to one person who was able to run a marathon, but then you've seen some other research that running is more difficult. You're an active guy. You run quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what happens if you go through this surgery and then you discover you're one of the people who can't run?
Well, that's the good news. I mean,
Okay.
you're out that money, but you can go back to wearing a socket. They can take
Is
it
it
out.
reversible?
It is. It's 100%
Okay, so tell us
reversible.
about that. What'd you learn about that? Obviously, we're not giving medical advice.
No, of course not.
Okay.
So
What'd you learn?
I did learn that I asked the question because I was curious. When I had my consult, I said, well, how many of these went bad?
Right.
How many in the last 5 years had to come back? How many took it out? The answer was 0. They're all very happy with that, but they did have 2 candidates have to redo it. One of them, it broke. And not the actual, it was just the connection at the end broke. So they had to
Okay.
go back and repair it. But it had nothing to do with the actual osseointegration surgery or anything like that. Several people out of the 1,000 that he had personally, been a part of, had to come back because of having bacteria infections and, over the counter.
Not taking care of it.
But typically a prescription of antibiotics cleared it up and it was fine. So nobody had any major concerns with the bacteria. And then there was one gentleman who, from my understanding, was very active. He was a bodybuilder, big guy. When he finally got his leg, he kind of overdid it. And it wasn't 100% healed, and he wanted to get back into the gym. He overdid it, and it twisted so that it moved. It wasn't 100% yet, and it moved, and he had to go back in and have it reset. And by what I mean by it moved, from what I understand, is it twisted slightly to the left, which means his foot was pointing to the left at that point. So they had to readjust it, which is basically resetting that implant. So they've had to do that once. They had one break, and they've had several people get infections.
Get infections.
But and only one person I talked to that said he couldn't run. Some of them just had no desire to run. So, but even when I asked that question, I told the doctor, I'm very active. I want to run. He just, you're no problem. Swimming, running, all of that is still very much a possibility. You just have to be more mindful where you're swimming. But other than that, the pros certainly outweighed the cons, in my opinion, and for me personally.
For you personally.
Yeah.
And how did you find the doctor that you consulted with? Because I hear not FDA approved, and in my head I'm thinking like it's some rogue person. I know that's not the case. But for people who aren't educated in this, they might think like it's some like backdoor doctor or something. That's not the case, right? So.
No, there's several facilities in the U.S. that are doing this. It's not a lot, but there's from what I understand, the one I went to is in New York, and then there's another one in Colorado, and I believe there's a VA facility that does it as well. But VA's only doing above the knee currently. They don't do it in house, but they allow you to do it outside if you choose to do so.
Okay. Well, if you go through with this, will you let us document it for
Heck yeah.
Amputee Aid?
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see that. I think it'd be interesting for other people who are considering it to see what the recovery process is actually like.
Yeah, and it's hard. There's not a lot out there on it. That's kind of why we brought it up, I
Okay.
guess. But I would encourage everybody to research it. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Okay.
So.
Does anyone have any I could keep questioning Carl. Does anybody put any questions in there for us,
Yeah.
Nick?
Actually, Jamie is interested in the same thing that you're talking about.
Oh.
Okay.
Jamie has and I'm sorry I can't pronounce this word, it's a little, something I haven't seen before, but had an amputation on the left foot, had frostbite on both of their heels,
Okay.
and had nerve damage. And they used to run, be a very active person, and they are looking at this to possibly, hopefully get back into that type of lifestyle, and wants to know as much as possible about what you're going through and what your research was.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage you, Jamie, to look up HSS. That's the hospital I went to. It's a hospital for special services or specialty surgeries. I'm working with a doctor named Dr. Taylor Reed, but there are other doctors in that facility that do osseointegration. But I could reach out to you if Nick can get your maybe you send me your email.
Carl, I believe we do have that. I just saw
Okay.
that this morning.
Perfect. So let me get back to you one-on-one with that, because I don't want to dive that far into it, but I'll give you all the information you need so you can research it yourself and see what I saw. And I can even introduce you to Dr. Reed. He's great. He answered all of my questions. And again, it's a very individual thing. Obviously, you have you're bilateral, so you're going to need a bigger conversation with him as well. Not knowing that much about you yet, I think we should just pin that for now. But I'll definitely call you or reach out to you, just the two of us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that okay? Yeah. Cool.
Okay, very good, very good.
And Sophia has a question as well.
Yeah.
So Sophia's interested, what does phantom limb pain feel like? And how do you put up with the sensation?
Well, so before I answer that, another thing I want to mention about osseointegration.
Yeah.
Because osseointegration is a full connection to your bone and to your skeleton, you feel more. And if you're experience a lot of phantom pain, I think that's a better option for you. And that may be a reason for some people to use. And then also when they go in to do the surgery, if you're having severe phantom pain, they have options for helping you with those nerve endings and trying to make it somewhat better for you. So phantom pain is a whole other topic we could probably dive into, but phantom pain. Sophia, to answer your question, what does it feel like? So for me personally, it's like you're being slightly electrocuted. Sometimes it's very sharp and jolty, and it's unexpected, and at other times it's just a dull, constant burning sensation, and then sometimes I'll feel a string is in, like if you ever tried to pull your sock on over your foot and get a string stuck in between your toes. That's a good way to explain it, like in the best way I can. That's what it feels like sometimes. For me, it's the more active you are and the type of prosthetic you have could change that. I have a very basic type of prosthetic, so I have a lot of energy return, meaning if I put more weight on it, it's going to push back a little more. I don't have anything that's like hydraulic or the technology that's out there with adding some energy to your feet. I don't have anything like that. So when you're driving, because you're driving with that foot or with your other foot, you're constantly trying to move your toes. You don't have them. So if you're doing that a lot during the day, you're going to start to experience phantom pain, because what's happening is you're triggering those nerves and your brain doesn't understand that concept anymore. So you're trying to trick yourself into believing it's not real, it's not there. So you rub the leg, you try to come up with, you tapping it to kind of relieve that, and it kind of like snap out of it. It's not real, but it is real. It's your nerves, and it's causing you those pain. And the other side of that would be at night when you're going to bed. That's typically when I feel it, because you're resting, but you're thinking about it more. Like sitting here right now, I feel like my toes are on fire.
Really?
But it's fine. It's like I guess you learn to live with it. And I know some people that they don't have phantom pain at all. It's just some had it at first and then it went away. Some have it very minor. Some have it severely. It's really, again, it's an individual thing, but that's how I feel. That's what happens with me. Brian's on the call. Does Brian have any input on that? Like, does he have phantom pain? Or you haven't experienced any phantom pain?
Not a lot.
Hey, Brian.
Is your phantom pain similar to what I was experiencing when you do have it?
It mostly feels like the foot's fallen asleep.
Okay.
Like I had it in a wrong position or slept on it wrong, and you go to stand on it and it's not there, kind of.
Yes, that's a great explanation. It's your foot has fallen asleep and you feel the tingling sensation of that, but that's real. Yep. Okay.
Yes, this is Shane. Same thing. I don't really have phantom pain either, but it feels like it's asleep a lot of the times. Also, I know that when I had the amputation done, they did something in the hospital. They put something on my leg to numb it. I can't remember what it was called, but I guess it was something new that they do. So that way you don't get the phantom pain. They said it was done to help relieve the phantom pain. So that may have been why I don't experience it.
Okay. Shane, I'm going to research that and we'll find out what that was and we'll post that. And now you're above the knee,
I forgot to tell you that last time. Yes.
Okay.
And I forgot to tell you that last time because I actually forgot about it. And then later on, I remembered that they did that. And I can't remember what it was called. A lot of things go on when you're in the hospital.
Sure. Yeah.
but I do remember it was something they put on, and they said it was supposed to be to control that phantom pain.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. We'll find out what that was and we'll post that up. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That's great. When was your amputation? Was it 2023?
It was 3 years ago. So
okay. 2022.
2022.
Okay. I was close. Okay. Any other questions, Nick?
Not on there, but I had a question.
Yeah.
I've known you for 6 years, and when I first met you, you were this active guy. I know you're active now, but you were this active guy, and you had the amputation done, and what was going on in your head that made you, or how did you get back to where you are now? Like, I would say if I didn't know you before the amputation, that you're just an active guy. Like, it's impressive to me to see someone that was standing on top of the world actively and have the family life, the work, and everything, and then you have something like that, it happened, and you're right back to where you were a few years later. That's very impressive, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that they're probably thinking the same thing, like, oh, wow, my life is going to change, but like, what are some things that helped you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. So most people that get an amputation, it's sudden. They don't really get the choice.
Right.
So it's a bump in the road, and a lot of people think it's the end of the world. It's not. It can be if you let it. But I think I missed that life, and I was having pain and problems, and I couldn't be active anymore. To me, amputation got me my life back, believe it or not. So without having that care and this, today's technology with prosthetics is so much better than it was even 10 years ago, and it's getting better every day. I just saw opportunity to get my life back. So seeing that and understanding that was really important to me. But for anybody that's, was in a tragic car accident or had a health scare that caused, their amputation, that's scary. You were perfectly fine one day, and the next day you're dealing with an amputation. So you're going to have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and a lot of fear. So I hope I'm answering your question, but the truth is you're talking about someone who has to try to get their life back, and a couple things happen mentally. You got to get mentally strong and accept your circumstances. Number two, you got to have, you're going to need a prosthetic, and that journey's difficult for some people and easy for others, depending on your circumstances, whether it's insurance or military or whatever it is. But the third thing is you gotta have a community. Nobody does it on their own. Nobody. Nobody climbs Mount Everest by themselves. Nobody does anything by themselves. Nobody gets there without help, and you're going to need help, and that's okay.
Yeah, and we are that help a lot of times. The Amputee Aid is here to be that help.
Yeah. I was hoping you were going to go that community route, because that's that's the point of us being here, like Jennifer said.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have family and friends that helped as well. So if people have those close friends, talk to them more, ask for the help, because as someone that I have all of my limbs, luckily, and I don't know what Carl needs, so I don't know what to ask him. So ask your family, like, hey, can you do this for me? Or, hey, can you help me do this?
Yeah.
It's okay. Ask for the help.
Yeah, certainly. And, take it a step further, I would say, I personally had a great support system. Wonderful family, great colleagues, great friends. Everybody helped me, whether it was encouraging me, helping me up the stairs. Nick, you helped me. I remember walking in here and people saying, "What are you doing? Give me your bag." Everybody helped me. And there's people out there that don't have that. They're alone. Or they only have one person, and that person's not physically capable of doing a lot of the heavy lifting that you used to do. You need help. It's okay. Like we need to have more resources for that as well. But it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We'll find a way to support you. Yeah.
Carl, you and Nick mentioned something that I have been thinking a lot about. So I was question directed to you, but really anyone on the webinar, if you feel comfortable chiming in or typing in an answer. So as an able-bodied person, I am often, I wouldn't say bothered, but just miffed by how many images of amputees are always like super active, right? So when we talk about getting your life back, it's you got to be running a marathon, you got to be swimming in the Olympics, you got to be like bike riding across the world. And what about just images of someone signing their name or walking down the driveway to
Going to
pick
the
up their
grocery
mail?
store,
And
yeah.
so as an amputee, do you ever feel, this is for everybody, do you ever feel pressured that you have to not only, quote, get your life back, but like somehow be like Superman or Superwoman and prove that you're bigger than your disability and suddenly be the marathon runner? Because that's a lot of the imagery that you see is that. So have you ever thought about that? Am I overthinking it? Do you ever feel that kind of pressure, or anyone else?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure to do that.
Yeah.
You're right. But here's what's funny. Everybody wants to talk about when you're an amputee, like I ran a marathon, I did this, right? Whatever it is you do. But let's be real. There's days I'm on my couch and I took my leg off and I'm looking like this for somebody to get me a popsicle, right? Like there's some challenges. I don't care if you run marathons. It's getting your life back still needs
The day
people.
to day,
Yeah.
the day to day stuff.
You know, when you live in a home that's 2 stories, you will get very creative at never walking back upstairs until it's time to go to bed. You get very creative at avoiding your nemesis, right? Stairs, So trust me when I tell you, you're still going to need support. You're not, there's things that's normal activity. Going to the grocery store, pushing the cart, you start to realize that I don't care how strong you are, I can only carry about 45 pounds. When I lift up 50 pounds, I start bottoming out on my leg. That's normal. That's life. So I got to get creative on how I do that. I got to ask for help. Hey, can you help me carry this? Trust me when I tell you, like, the minimum is running a marathon, okay? If you want to get your life back, then think about all the day-to-day things that you do that you take for granted. That's what we're trying to do. We're going to get you back to doing those things. Going for a walk, walking out to the curb with your son to catch the bus, going to the parent-teacher conference and not having, I want people to come to me and say, I got my life back, man. I got the best parking. They start getting creative about the positive attributes, and that's what it's about. When you can get to a point where you're laughing about those kind of things and how am I going to, you're laughing because deep down I'm like, who am I going to take advantage of this morning? Who's going to go get my coffee because I forgot it on the counter? You sit down, you take your leg off, and like finally my favorite show's on, and you realize the remote is over there. It's like, oh, like that to me is getting your life back.
Yeah. So the day to day stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this super huge expectation that you're going to be the next, Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever. Like that's not what we're talking about. And similarly, we don't want people to feel pressured. Like if they're not living up to that high standard, they're not a quote good enough amputee.
Right.
You don't see enough images of folks just doing day to day stuff.
That's a good point. I never noticed that.
I think about that a lot.
Here, I thought I had to run marathons because every picture of an amputee was running a marathon.
I'm giving you permission to
doing
quit.
something crazy. I just want to. Where's the chubby guy that's just eating a bag of chips on the couch?
Exactly. Watching the Super Bowl or whatever, or just like hanging out hunting, in your whatever. So that I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way? Do you ever feel like the images are way extreme, or they're not realistic, or you feel pressured because you're not meeting the standard of what whoever is on the latest magazine or website? I see lots of head shaking. Yes. Okay.
I agree, Jennifer.
You do agree. All right.
You see the two extremes. You see the people that want to try and figure something out and they're trying, and then you see the people that they don't know what to do. So hopefully we can help those people.
Actually, I think you're all wrong. I think all amputees are extreme athletes.
I will say, I ran with Carl yesterday, and he destroyed me.
Yeah. There's a reason I don't come to running club.
Oh, come on. Bring your dog. Let's go.
All right. I'll use my dog as an excuse, but now I get to bring him, so I guess I'll be there next Tuesday morning.
Yay.
So
I think a lot of people just also, it's hard when you first start moving and they give up. And they're like, I have a friend, he just doesn't want to, he's content to be in his wheelchair, and like I go around pretty well in it, and I'm like, you got to just keep trying it out and keep moving
Mm-hmm.
and just
Mhm.
get used to it. And then I told him, sometimes you just and it's frustrating too because you have to keep going back to the process and having them adjust things, and sometimes it can be frustrating to get things right. And I keep telling him you have to keep going back,
Mm-hmm.
keep trying.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not instant.
Mm-hmm.
True statement.
Some
Yep.
people get it fast, some people don't.
Yeah, and Shane, if you could share just a little bit, because you've gone through the learning process twice. You had a new leg, and as a result of that, had to kind of relearn how to walk, right, with a different type of setup. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what you heard about it and what you learned after you kept trying?
Yeah, so as things progress, they keep changing the way they do things. They find that you don't need the bulk and everything that you used to have. So like for me, above the knee, when I first got it, they wanted to support my leg by going taking everything all the way up to my hip and my groin area, and that's where they wanted to support my weight and everything. Um, so what they found out was that they don't need to go that high. They have this new technology that's called direct fit. And before, what they did was they measured everything, and then they they figure out and they create your shell, you know, and it takes like weeks to do it. The new process is you go in that day, they put this uh, like wire thing on your leg, and then they form it right to your leg. It's called a direct fit, and then you have it right away as soon as you walk out, and they can make it much lower. So now my actual leg is supporting the rest of my leg, and it's a much better process, and it's not so bulky. I can bend, I can reach down and pick things up where I couldn't do that with my old one. Even sitting down, my leg would you know it was way in the air. Now it sits correctly with it on, but in that your whole balance changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like relearning to walk again. So it takes a couple weeks, to get used to it. And I think when you get these types of changes, and even the process, I'm like, why isn't everybody getting this direct fit now?
Right.
And they said, well, they don't like it. They just can't walk with it. And I said, yeah, I couldn't walk with it either, but it's because I was walking differently with my old one. I have to change where my weight goes,
Mm-hmm.
but it made me walk better because now I'm walking like you should be walking,
Mm-hmm.
and using your swing and your weight and your gait and everything is much better with it.
And
But
so
it was a process to get there.
yeah, so it sounds like it's been a considerable improvement for you too.
Well, I would recommend. I mean, it changed my life. I mean, I the old one was awful. It was so bulky and hard to use, and then it rubbed. I mean, everyone rubs. Don't get me wrong, but not like the old one. And I kept going back and telling them like, "Hey, this is breaking my skin open,"
Mm.
things like that. And they're like, "Oh, just you gotta get used to it and try different socks and you know put some like lotion on and stuff, and you're just not giving it time." I'm like, no, this doesn't seem right. um, so after talking to the doctor and everything, he said, try this new socket. And the guy I was going to didn't really do it, and he didn't really want to seem interested in it, so we switched companies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
But it's been
It's been
a life
significantly better.
changer.
Yeah, yeah.
well, there's a lesson there too. When you're an amputee, it's tough when you're
Yeah.
being told something that you just don't believe. When it doesn't feel right, you got to stand up for yourself, advocate for yourself. Let us help you with those situations as well. But what I heard was he said, "No, this isn't right. It can be better," and he's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to you have to be able to do that. You gotta don't accept that this is the norm and you're going to suffer. There's always a better way. If you're having that kind of an issue, you should absolutely reach out to Amputee Aid and let us work with you and help you navigate that, or we can at least advocate for you. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Shane. You know, and I hear that
Sure.
theme from Shane, but also from you, Carl, is the importance of doing your own research and educating yourself and really advocating for yourself, which is kind of how we started today with your osseointegration surgery, that
Yeah.
you're doing your own research and advocating for yourself and advocating for a way to get it paid for also and how you're going to figure that out.
Oh, I promise you, people are going to tell me
yeah.
you can't do that.
And when you hear the I can't, you turn it into
Yeah.
a when can I?
Yeah,
You know,
I'll
and how
figure it
can
out.
I?
Nobody's going to tell me what I
Yeah.
can't do.
And that's kind of one of the goals of this meeting space every week is to be able to share ideas and help everyone kind of bounce ideas off of each other and educate and share information and share resources. And as you said, if we don't have it now, like for Jamie, we're going to email you and tell you this is what you
Yeah.
need to do, or here's some follow-up so that you can continue to learn as a community about the latest developments, opportunities, researching, and how to advocate for yourself.
Exactly.
You know?
And going back to what you said earlier,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
still laughing about
The
this, but
images,
I was thinking, though, those images
it
help.
bothers me.
But
Okay,
they
tell
do
me
help.
more.
You know, when I first got my prosthetic, they don't start you off with a running leg. You know what I mean? I wanted to run, so I had to fight for that. I get the running leg, and I remember the first time that I went to a track. I'm like, I'm going to take it easy, right? I got to a track. I got this new leg. I couldn't run one lap around the actual, it's the football field, local football track,
Yeah.
around the, it's like a quarter mile.
Quarter mile thing.
I couldn't make it all the way around. It was so painful. The first lap, it felt like I had a bear trap on my leg. I started walking, and of course, I also gained a ton of weight. I haven't been active in a couple years because of the pain and the whole scenario of the amputation. So when I finally, starting to get my life back, I remember, wow, this is horrible, right? Not only does it not fit, it's painful. I'm out of shape, and I'm running around this track. And then when I finally stopped, took it off to get a break, I put it back on, and before I could start running again, the stupid high school kids that were there were making fun of me.
Whoa!
And I'm like, what the heck, like, hey, look out, here comes Sling Blade, like they were having the time of their lives, But thank God they were there. Thank God I didn't
Yeah.
quit. It would have been easy to say, oh, screw this. This is way too hard. This is
can't
too
do it.
painful. And then I got these kids over here laughing at me. Now I'm like, screw this. I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm going to figure it out. It was like, try a different liner, try a different this. I finally got to a point where I can run a couple laps, and then I started doing all these things. But it's hard. Your friend's in a wheelchair, and he's talking about it. Well, I get around. It's difficult. So some of those pictures that you're talking about, they are inspirational.
Inspirational. Yeah.
I needed that, and I also needed some people to make fun of me a little bit. I needed that in my life. So
I want to know what school that was so we can have them take our Adopt an Amputee curriculum. We have a curriculum that is disability awareness, sensitivity, geared toward fundraising, and I feel like they would be a good candidate.
I'm pretty sure one of those was one of my kids probably down there making fun of me.
Uh-oh. Okay. No comment. No comment.
That was a hint if you want to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very difficult. It is not easy. Even when you get your first leg to walk, I mean, it can be a struggle depending on your situation. So, yeah, don't give up. And don't accept pain where you shouldn't have pain. It should be comfortable. You should have a decent gait. You should feel, you shouldn't feel awkward. You shouldn't feel like people are watching you. You should feel normal. And that's what. And if you're not, you put your hand up, say something. Don't accept it. It's easy sometimes to sit back and be like, well, this is my new life. It's just, everybody must be in pain. No, you should not be in pain. There should be a way to make it comfortable, enjoyable, and getting your life back. So,
Good point. Good counterpoint.
yeah.
I would still like to see more images of everyday activities.
I love it.
I think
I'm in.
having some inspirational activities is okay too.
So
Any other questions on there or comments?
not a question, but Jamie had a comment that is
Oh, sure.
pretty inspirational.
Okay.
Because I know I couldn't do this.
Let's hear it.
So, Jamie had a comment that, he asked for help from family, but sometimes, it's too much. And no matter what Jamie says to the family, they just keep coming back and doing the same thing. So to try and prove them wrong, in 2023, climbed 105 flights of stairs in the Sears Tower. That is impressive.
Heyo.
Little bummed out that he couldn't do it last year, but said this year is going to do it again.
Yeah.
And, I would like to try that because I don't think I could last 20.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a lot, man. That's
Seriously.
awesome. Congrats.
That is
man.
impressive.
See? Inspiration.
Okay, all right. And I think are we allowed to say Sears Tower anymore? That's a Chicago thing. I think Sears Towers has a new name, doesn't it?
Is it in Chicago?
I'm going to look it up. But they used to have a run the Sears Tower every. Is that what Jamie did? Can you ask Jamie? Is that what Jamie did?
It was
the Run the Sears
actually
Tower?
Willis Tower.
Willis Tower.
Willis Tower.
Is that what it's called now?
Let's see.
I love how
It was for a fundraiser for Shirley
Yes.
Ryan Ability Labs. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, this was 7 months after amputation as well. That is even more extreme. Wow.
I told you. They're all extreme.
I'm looking up the Sears and Willis Tower. I'm not a native Chicagoan, but I lived in Chicago, so now I need to know. Yes, so it's now called Willis Tower, but the old school, the Chicagoans, the real people from Chicago will still say
How
Sears
many
Tower.
flights is it? 120?
105.
Yeah.
105
Yes.
flights, people, not
That's
steps.
intense.
Flights. That's
Yeah.
probably, 27 steps for a normal? Oof, I don't know. That's a lot.
That's
Way,
a lot.
way too many for me.
Yeah. I went up like 3 flights yesterday, and I was mad. I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Elevator broke.
So I think one thing that I think would be helpful to us as an organization in the time that we have left is to get some ideas for other topics for our
Yeah.
webinar, so that this is our first one, as Carl mentioned, starting out, but as we progress in this, we can have kind of a dedicated topic, occasionally, and sometimes it'll be open forum like this one is, but. So if anyone who's still on the webinar, if you have ideas for topics, you can put them in the chat or you can contact us separately. But I think it'd be helpful for us all to hear whether you want to unmute yourself or not, or contact us and with some ideas. Make them big, grand, extreme, or simple and easy. We will tackle all of them so that we can come prepared with resources and information and having a meaningful conversation.
Yeah. I know me personally, I think we could definitely have further conversations about osseointegration. I think phantom pain is always going to be a great topic because there's so many different variations. But the biggest thing is helping each other advocate. Somebody's going to have an issue. I'm having this problem. What's the best way to confront my doctor? What's the best way to confront my friends to get them to help me with this situation I'm in? Like, maybe that's a good topic where we can address how to self-advocate, how to help, how to ask, how to point out certain things. What's the best way to confront your prosthetist? Like, how do we help people engage in this whole community so that they can get the best out of what they have?
Yeah. For me, as an able-bodied person, it would be, how do I support someone who's an amputee? Mm-hmm. What do I say? Is it offensive? Is it not offensive? Should I be acting as if they're not an amputee? Is the bar too high, the bar too low? That is very helpful for me to know as someone who is supporting an amputee but not one myself. What's PC? What's not? What do I do? I think those are important things for folks who are loved ones and support systems of amputees to know as well.
And Carl made a comment, get your life back to normal. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear you guys talk about what is normal and what did you do to get back to it. Like, for example, I know this isn't a great example, but you mentioned the TV remote. Just basic life stuff that I don't think about, but now you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other topics or ideas that we're seeing on the chat there, Nick?
Sophia has another one. Every day. Oh, another episode? Okay.
It's an idea for a topic.
Okay, so everyday stories and what led to you being an amputee.
Oh, yeah. We always love to hear that
I
story.
would love to hear. Yeah, I would love to hear.
Some of those stories can be very somber and some can be very inspirational.
But I think that
Love hearing the stories.
that would be great to talk about because, your situation's different than the other person. And
Yeah.
what if someone is like you, or what if someone's like Shane or Jamie? And
All of us have
You
a
know?
different story and they're all compelling. I know that firsthand based on what I know of everybody that's on this call. So here's something that should also be pointed out, going back to being PC.
Yes.
Amputees are the one group that I can honestly say I don't think they see themselves as handicapped. We just, I know that sounds strange, but it's hard for us to accept that when people say, oh, you're handicapped. No, I'm an amputee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's very strange, but we understand the concept behind it. But my point is we don't see it that way. I have a leg. It's just
A different
it's
leg.
just different than yours, right?
so is that
Yes.
offensive if someone?
Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the parking pass.
Right.
However, I understand the significance between the two. And I know that's how I feel. And I'm pretty sure most people I do talk to, they don't see themselves that way. They see themselves as able-bodied.
Yeah.
They're just different. So,
Differently abled. As my grandmother would say, you're other abled.
Hey,
That's
there-
what she would say. There was no such thing as disability for my grandmother. She was a social worker.
I love it.
So you're other abled.
yeah. And I'm speaking on behalf of the entire amputation
Right.
community. But a lot of people I've talked to feel the same way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one unique thing I could say about amputation is like the separate. It's not, but we feel it is.
Shane would like to get us or find a way to get the word out to new amputees about the whole process and getting back to normal.
Yeah.
So I think that'd probably be a
Outreach.
good yes.
How to
Yeah.
effectively outreach and educate. Mentorship would be a good one.
Yeah.
I
So-
think having a frank conversation about costs and how you pay them, is very important.
Yeah. And then, getting this type of these videos put out there, getting people to subscribe, sharing these videos is going to help. Like, the more people we can get in this community, trust me, the more topics we'll get because people will have
Definitely.
questions. And it's wonderful because when we get questions we don't know the answers to, I promise you that's a new topic. So,
It's a new topic, and we're going to get the answer. And,
Yeah.
and Carl, we mean it when we say we will respond to you right
yeah,
away.
I'm really curious now that there is something new that I'm not aware of that when they're doing the surgery that's to prevent phantom pain.
Or minimize it at least.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. So.
Yeah, so we will learn.
Yeah, I just want to kind of expand on what I put in there, but like the front line, like prosthetists or the doctors, just knowing about giving information to new amputees, because I know when I had mine done, they gave me different organizations to go to, but they really didn't help. There wasn't any really great information on what to do and some of the process, and I didn't even know if I was getting a good knee. I got a microprocessor knee. It turned out to be a good knee, but I had no idea. I was going by what they're telling me to do. But my foot was awful, and I had to live with it for 3 years.
Keep in mind, there's a lot of really good salespeople out there, and they're selling our products to your prosthesis.
Yeah.
So your foot may just be the foot that was the best salesman that happened to be there that week.
hate
Convinced them to give it a shot.
We hate to say it that way, but that's realistic.
You never
Yeah.
know. I don't know what's behind the scenes or who made the decision to give you that foot and that socket and that type of processor. It's why did he go that route? Who knows? Where you end up and where you start are two different places, but that's exactly what this webinar is about.
Yeah.
Educating people so that they can make informed decisions and be able to go out there and feel better about those decisions. I had an aha moment because you are absolutely correct. Nobody is going to think past what you're thinking. When I had my amputation and I suddenly had all these blisters on my leg, and I'm like freaking out because there's nothing, nobody's ever mentioned anything about these giant blisters. I looked it up. There's nothing online about it. Finally, I called the doctor and I'm like, I'm sorry, something's wrong. I got blisters all over my leg. Oh yeah, that's normal. what?
You didn't even know to ask. It's not like you've been through this before.
Right. Why wasn't this mentioned? Like, you're going to get some blisters. You're going to want to do this. You're going to want to put this on it. You know, like, here's how you eliminate that, because it was very painful. I wasn't thinking about the fact that I had a giant wound. It was the blisters. It's very distracting when you don't have all the information. It's, you know, some people, you know, you need to know. And that seemed like pretty pertinent information, and I just didn't get it. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I wish somebody would have said, you're going to get blisters, that's okay. Ice and Neosporin, you know, like it'll dry out in 3 days and you'll be fine. It's, you know, like, it's just simple information is important to us.
Yeah. So I think maybe we can wrap up for today. And we've written down, I saw some frivolous note-taking, not frivolous, some frantic note-taking, not frivolous, sorry, wrong word. So note-taking behind the camera, so that we'll have some topics for our next couple of weeks. And
Yes.
we will be back here every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Zoom, the same link, same Zoom room. And we will also record and share, and be very helpful for those of you who attend to like, follow, share it out. If you have questions, you're always welcome to contact us in advance so that we can come with a meaningful answer. And if we don't have it here, we will follow up with you and also publish that information so that we can do what Carl said, which is share and educate, so that folks, Shane, to your point, if they don't know, is this a good knee or a bad knee, this is a place to ask those questions and to figure it out together as a group of amputees.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you're going to wait 1 week, but you will get an answer.
You will get an answer.
Yeah, we'll put it out there. So yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, and we'll see you guys all next week. And bring your questions and like and share.
Thanks for coming for our first webinar.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.